This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have Cathy Baillargeon. Hopefully I didn't mess that up too much. She's the founder of Virtual Cathy, and I'm going to let her tell you more about that. But first, Cathy, how are you?
I am doing fabulous. How about you, Foo?
Doing good. I mean, we were chit-chatting a little bit, talking about the weather. We're local to each other. And I think, we got good starts to the year. So I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's kick it off with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Sure. I own a US-based virtual assisting agency. All of our VAs are locally, well, not locally, but nationally based. They're all in the US. We provide executive assisting services to business owners, entrepreneurs, and nonprofit organizations.
Awesome. I love the that making that distinction, right, of having that US base, because even though I have an international VA, I mean, I'm not talking bad about them. I love my VA from the Philippines. But there's certain things, right? There's certain jobs that it just makes it easier to have someone from the States that has that culture, right? The English and the understanding. And on that note, what are some type of jobs or obviously secretary assistant, but that kind of covers a lot of things. So
yeah, what
are some particular roles that you have placed people that you've noticed that, look, being a US base helped so much, and what was that big advantage, if you can give us that perspective?
One of them, like you had mentioned, is that there is not really a communication barrier. And then also a lot of business owners, a lot of organizations, they require somebody who can work within their same time zone. And so we have strategically have our VAs in each US based time zone. So then there isn't any kind of question of like, okay, well, I need somebody until 3:00 Pacific Standard, but that's 6:00 on the Eastern time, and it's less accommodating and less convenient for our clients. And I can't even imagine how difficult it would be, especially if it's tasks that require having them done during your typical business day. Projects, there's a lot of projects that can be done really anytime, but those daily tasks, it's much easier to have somebody that's in your time zone.
Definitely. For that it's a challenge that I do have, right? So having someone from the Philippines, I am in Pacific time, so I'm used to working up early. So then I have him starting like at 4 a.m. and then we have like a meeting at 7 a.m. So that way it's like, look, I can be awake, right, and be like, okay, I can be to the meeting to kind of say, okay, so what you have done till now, this, make sure that you do this before the end of the shift. Yes. Right. So that's how I've worked around that. But obviously, sometimes, like you said, if I want someone to work until 3 p.m. and then it's like, well, like my VA starts working at 4 a.m. So obviously he cannot be working until 3 p.m. So those are, one of those things that definitely become a challenge. So that's good to have that in account, right? Like to give us that perspective. What are some other, or just general advice that you have, or actionable tips for business owners or entrepreneurs that are in that phase of, look, I already I'm making some money, I have some bandwidth, like I want to bring my first virtual assistant, let's say, like what's some advice on actionable tips that you have for those type of people?
For people who are looking to grow and scale, maybe they have employees or contractors, maybe not. I know that one of the hardest parts, well, I think there is a misconception with delegation that it should be easy and it should be something that just comes naturally to everyone and all business owners. And that's just so not the case, where it really is. I call it a not so subtle art. It's a skill set, and you have to, some people, maybe it's a little bit more natural for them, but for the most part, for most of us, especially business owners, where we are a little bit control freaks, let's be honest, it can be so difficult to get to a place where you're ready to delegate work that's even closer to you, like email management. If you are like completely swimming in emails every single day, but you don't want somebody to look into the mess that is your inbox, it's really difficult. It can be a little scary to take that jump. And we tell ourselves all of these excuses like, I know how to do it and nobody can do it the way that I do. Or it will take less time for me to do it than for me to train somebody. And these types of excuses that we kind of tell ourselves, to protect ourselves, right? And our comfort zone really stops us from being able to scale past where we're at right now, which is why it's so important, whether it's internationally or nationally, or whoever it is you need to hire. It is so important for us as business owners to be able to take some of that kind of mundane, routine admin and marketing tasks off our plate at some point, so we can really focus on driving the ship that is our business.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that like control freak and all those things. I mean, I'm a business owner, right? And it's not like I don't want to hand out. It's the how to properly do it. And then it's like if something gets posted, for example, like social media management, it's one for me that I've hand out. And sometimes it's like in the beginning, and I know, so I wasn't too hard on them, but I was like, okay, so look at the way that I've done it this, and look at I've done this, and I did certain processes, like I established some SOPs, but there was always some things that there's always some things that are not that you forget, right? Like, oh, like, do use other AI, then use ChatGPT, then use WordTune, and use this, but then in the middle it's like, oh, like forgot to tell you about how to tag myself, or how to invite somebody as a collaborator, or things like that you kind of learn through as you start handing it out, and you're like, look, just take care of it now, and then we'll fix it, right? We'll improve. And that's the process that I've been in. I mean, my girlfriend is actually the one that is doing my video editing and my social media. She's getting pretty good. Just getting pretty good now, now she's getting the hang on things. She asks me questions, I answer. Now, a lot of times, she doesn't ask me much questions, and she's like, hey, everything's posted. I check it. I was like, oh, this looks good. Right. And on that note, do you have a, say, high level framework for delegation, and especially, maybe one that particularly you like for your assistants that you place?
We do, but it really is going to be based off of how our clients communicate, how they want things delegated, what their, like there's a personality balance, right? Where there's some people where we'd be able to, hey, this is how we do things, and this is how we can create and document this process for you. So then we will document it, and then and then it will be documented for you going forward. But then there's people that will hire us, and they already have a way that they want to have things done. They already have processes in place, and then we're just kind of picking up and going with it. So one thing that I always recommend is for anybody who is, whether they're ready to delegate or maybe it's just in the future, right, is that, get on a Loom video and just record yourself going through whatever it is you want to delegate, whatever kind of task that is. Loom is free, and you don't even have to talk through it, and nobody has to, like, it doesn't even have to see the light of day until you're ready to delegate. But taking that video and giving it to whoever's taking it on and telling them, okay, I need this in a written document form, walking through these steps. That's probably the easiest way to get something off your plate. You're showing them how to do it. It really doesn't take as much time. I mean, it's ultimately just the time it takes for you to do the task. And then they have what they need, and then they can create that process from there.
Exactly. I use Loom all the time. I love Loom.
Yeah.
They give you 5-minute videos for free.
Yes.
So in 5 minutes, you can cover a lot, especially if you're very efficient with it rather than just rambling, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great tip. That's a great way to just kind of get started. So like you said, just start recording those things and maybe even just looking at yourself first, right? Or showing it to somebody that is not even your employee, maybe your wife, your significant other, and just, hey, what do you feel like you understand this? And just starting to test those things out, so then when the time comes, then you're ready, right? And that way you have those documented. Like I think all my mentors have always said that, like, Loom is a very easy one. We use it all the time, even like with clients in my communities. It's like, hey, like, I'm this thing that I'm doing on YouTube, like I'm doing this particular thing. Let me just put a Loom video, put it in the community chat, and then now people can go and learn it. So it's extremely useful. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Yep.
What is something that you see as a barrier or friction point for people that you normally help, and how you are able to overcome those challenges or friction points?
What kind of concerns they might have coming to us?
Yeah, what's a common thing, right? What I guess what is something common that you particularly have noticed that it's kind of either a pattern or a common thing that you've seen people have a challenge with, that you have been able to help them? So that way, if there's somebody that are going through that challenge here, other than the things that we already talked, right? So.
It has actually evolved over the years. So at the beginning of our agency, about 5 years ago, I would say that one of the biggest concerns was business owners who did not have a great experience with a previous virtual assistant, and they're looking for something where, like, instead of maybe an independent VA, an agency has a little bit more oversight and management of that VA so they can have those expectations. And so that was probably one of the main reasons, if they had already worked with the VA, why they're coming to us. And I have to say that over the years, with where, like, kind of the employment culture is right now, is that we've actually seen so many organizations coming to us because what they've been experiencing is they hire somebody, an employee, let's say internally, and they train this person up and then they leave. And so then they hire another person and they train this person up, and it's taking months, right? And then they leave so soon after. And so with an agency such as ours, while we don't necessarily say, oh yeah, we don't ever have any turnover, that's not necessarily the case, but what we do to kind of help circumvent that issue is, one, we create procedure manuals for all of our clients' work. So then if somebody on my team needs to step out, I have a VA that can come in and take on that work without having to start all the way over, like if you were hiring an employee. So that's been something that we've been seeing over the last year, where people are just having such a hard time, one, finding employees that they feel like has the right skill set for that type of position, and then keeping them. And it doesn't necessarily mean, so that's kind of what we help manage, because even if the person isn't necessarily stay throughout their entirety with us, we have somebody that we can put into that position with much smoother transition than if they were handling it themselves.
That's pretty cool. And that's I'm glad that you were able to come up with that, because it is a big concern right now. Especially, I mean, you know, this are remote, right? So, and remote jobs have gone now, like, you know what, I don't even know the stats, but probably like 4x or more. I don't even know, because before, remote jobs were not as popular. They were just like, well, there is some remote jobs for sure, but like this everybody in Zoom, everybody in like, a lot of people were like uh kind of like hesitant about it, and they didn't want to do the move of online because they didn't think it was efficient or whatever, I don't, the case may be. But then now there's so many options that people are just like, oh, just, oh, I have option here, option there, so I'll keep moving. And on that, what's something that you like, how do you attract the right people, even for, because you have the two things, right? You have to attract them to you, and then you have to be able to then make them attractive to the client. So it, like, how does that dynamic works, right? Of like, you're having to attract two types of people: the people that want them and the people that want to work, right? So how does that dynamic works? Just big level, right? Like, no, don't have to give me everything.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I have to say, like, we are incredibly picky when it comes to adding people into our team. Like, I would prefer to put a waiting list in place for any new clients coming in versus hiring somebody out of desperation so we can handle that client, because it just never works out that way, right? So I would rather wait until we bring on the right person that we believe would be a really good success for our clients, than just hiring a bunch of people and hoping that they work out, right? We have really beefed up our, like, kind of orientation training when we bring on VAs, which really helps them feel like they're set up for success when taking on clients first and foremost, because it's a little bit scary, right? And then for the client side, we always pair our VAs based off of three criteria. We pair them based off of the skill set needed for the work that the client needs done, obviously. The second would be location. So then again, the time zone thing is not going to be an issue, and they have availability and accessibility. And then three is personality fit. We have just a wide variety of personalities on our team, and some people would work better with others. So if a client is looking for somebody who's a little bit more direct in their communication, and wants them a little bit more forward thinking and taking the initiative, we have people on our team. And then for the client that comes in is like, you know what, I just need this work done, and I would prefer to work with somebody that's similar in personality, which might be a little bit more soft, and they rather than like feeling like they're being told what to do, right? And they don't necessarily need somebody like finding the best way to do certain thing, and they have all of those procedures in place already. We have a perfect fit for that as well. So yeah,
I like it. And thanks for sharing all that. I think is very important points in there, right? Like we touched on a little bit earlier about like time zone stuff, and personality is something that I was kind of trying to get into a little bit, because I know that's a very, very important thing for culture and, productivity and everything, because, you are able to function better when it's people that you like, right? That they don't understand, you feel they understand you better. So
yeah, our goal in our company is to be personable, right? We are like a support unit for a company, and it, rather than saying like, okay, here's my company and then here's this VA that's just out there, like we want to hopefully be a part of that company, and it's just be that kind of that little part behind the scenes that can assist in its success.
awesome. Is there anything, any one or two big takeaways you would like to leave the audience with?
Big takeaways, my goodness. I would say I guess I'm just trying to think in what regard, like what's the topic?
So,
Maybe
it,
business mission.
just biggest takeaways based on I guess your experience with working with people and based on the conversation, right? Like, what are some things that uh just you want to kind of punch out, right, before leaving, to make sure, maybe it could be like just a quick recap of what we talked, just kind of, before leaving, this is what I want to leave the audience with.
Well, I know that virtual assisting has been a very big growing industry, and there's a lot of options to choose from. And so I would always recommend for anybody who's looking for a virtual assistant that they speak with multiple individuals and or agencies, because you want to have a good feeling about the relationship that you're going into it with, right? So if there isn't that good feeling, then you might want to be talking to more people. And then I guess just in general, when it comes to like just business owners, I have noticed, like just in my own group of online business owners, that I think everybody was feeling like, oh my gosh, we were so burnt out in 2020. Those years, those were really long years. But I'm actually seeing more burnout than ever this year with and that might be because everybody was pivoting and everybody was putting in their efforts to make sure that they're getting through those hard years. And this year, people are feeling it. And so I just want to say, like, if you are feeling it this year, you are not alone, and just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and like come up with a plan for yourself in the event that you just like how do you take a step back if you need to collect yourself? How do you keep the ship going if you need to take a pause? Just keep that in mind, because I just see it. It's so prevalent right now.
I agree. And I think my take on it is that we're seeing the delays effects of what happened, because there was a lot of relief happening, right? So obviously that was something that, well, we have money coming in, we have all this, like the stimulus check, we have like loans and all these things where like fees and all that, like they were like more flexible. The housing market was like, oh, it's illegal to kick people out until we figure this out. So all those things, in my opinion, and based, a little bit of what I hear, is that those are that delays effect of like still like 2020 2021, like it was still now feeling it. And then now that it's like, okay, we're past COVID, so we want to go back to normal, but now it's like the new normal. And now, like, the recession too, on top of that, that's really complicating things a lot, and a lot of layoffs. And then AI too, revolutionary, they're revolutionating I don't know why I can't say that word properly, but it's a big revolution that is, a lot of people, and I think it's as big as the internet when it came out. Like, and that's something that it's pretty big. I mean, things are changing fast, and it's hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really is. It's just as stressful as ever, really. I think we're getting used to the stress level, and I just don't think, long term, it's probably the healthiest.
yeah. So hopefully we'll come together, right, and we'll figure this out. And I think that's why so important for me and for the people that I have around, that we're very big into community, into having your own tribe, right, having your support system, because when things get hard, being able to have those people, I mean, it can be the difference between life or death, because it's easy to get in your head and feel like, oh my God, is this even worth it? Like, I feel like I'm fighting for my life all the time. I'm not enjoying life as much and things like that, right? And it's something that, it can get ugly in your mind if you don't have the right support. So that's why I'm very big into having that. So yeah, feel free to reach out, if you're feeling down, feeling like hopeless. Start things that I have my Slack community, and I have a lot of people there that we can support each other. So thanks for bringing that out. Not just a matter of, it's not all business, right? We have to take care of ourselves, and especially our mind, and so that way we can keep pushing the business, right? So
Yeah.
I know there's gonna be some people say, you know what, like I need to talk to her. I think I've been thinking about a VA from the US. So how can people find you?
They can look us up. We're on Facebook at Your Virtual Cathy, Instagram, TikTok. It's like my creative outlet. So if you want to see some stupid, like home-based, business owner type content, that would be me all over on TikTok under Virtual Cathy. You can find our website at virtualcathy.com, where you can learn a little bit more about the types of services that we provide. And I'm always happy to have a conversation with anybody who just has questions in regards to what would be the best way to bring on a virtual assistant, no pressure whatsoever. So if there's ever any kind of questions you have, please feel free to reach me through any of those avenues, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Perfect. So, I'm pretty sure I'll have those links, and if there's any link that I don't have, just make sure that you send it to me, or to my assistant, to make sure that we put that in the description. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come here, have this conversation. This is a very relevant topic. Just having hiring right now, it's a big thing. I mean, like always, but now with this virtual boom, right? There's extra need. So thank you for coming here. Have a valuable conversation, and I'll bow to my audience.
Thank you so much for having me, Fu.
So this was Virtual Cathy and Strategy Fu, and this is us signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Fu with your host, Fu. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.